Hey everybody, welcome back to Susty Soul. Today I have a very special guest and her name is SaVonne Anderson. And SaVonne Anderson is the founder and creative director of Aya Paper Co., which is a sustainable stationery brand that creates greeting cards and gifts to celebrate the people and the moments that matter most. Welcome to the show, SaVonne.
Hi, thank you.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who do not know, I'm really honored to have SaVonne on the show today because I've been following her brand for a while now, and it's grown a lot over the past year or so. So, I'm really excited to have you on the show today. So, if you could just go ahead and give like a brief introduction of yourself and Aya Paper Co. and why you started the brand.
Yeah, sure. I am from Newark, New Jersey. That's where I was born and raised. I lived in New York for about 6 years during school. And when it was living in New York and kind of creating my own life for the first time that I started to develop a sustainable lifestyle. It was kind of the first time that I was now the person in charge of creating my own life. You know, growing up, it's kind of what your parents tell you and whatever life and home they create. But when I had the opportunity now to create my own life, it was like, oh, I realized that I didn't have a relationship with the earth. Like the planet and nature was not a part of my life, really. And that was something that I wanted to change. So that started with having plants and eating more locally, going to farmers markets,
Mhm.
using herbal medicine, all these different things that I started to do. And I cultivated some really great friendships and found a really great group of Black women working in sustainability while I was living in Brooklyn. And that was kind of my entry point into realizing, like, okay, I can take this beyond just, a personal lifestyle and make real impacts through like my career and through my business choices. I'm a graphic designer and I was working at an art museum in New York. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I was ready to pivot out of that and do more entrepreneurial stuff. I had always had personal design clients and I decided that I wanted to change from like being a service-based designer to product-based. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to create, stationery is what came to mind because I've always loved greeting cards, sending them to people, writing them just because. And something I always noticed was that I never really found a company that resonated with me and my experiences, whether that was the images and the people on them or the messages. Like there weren't cards that sounded like me.
Right.
So I started Aya Paper Co. And it was really, it exists at the intersection of all my different interests in design, sustainability, and bringing Black people joy.
Amazing. So, and that's something I would have to say, like, even like through the brand, I love the messaging on all of the cards. And I also love that it also fosters a lot of, just a lot of the love that we already have in the community. But unfortunately, a lot of like, stationery brands don't really represent that. So that's what I really,
Yeah.
really love about Aya Paper Co. So how do you, yeah, of course. So how do you hope the brand will make an impact in terms of sustainability? Because I know you use recycled materials.
Mhm.
So I would love to know like your intentions like behind it in terms of like what do you want people to like really walk away from
Yeah.
after they buy a car from Aya?
That's actually, I have two answers to that question now. But when I first started the company, the intention was for people to buy this one card, because they love the way it looks or because it resonated with them, but then to use that as an entry point to talking about sustainability. And,
Right.
climate change and pollution, these are issues that disproportionately affect Black people, but we don't always even know that. We're not even aware of that. So
Right.
I wanted to use this as an opportunity to, create a conversation around, oh, this card is made from 100% recycled paper. Why is that important? Oh, I follow this company on Instagram and they're talking about, things that you can do to live a more sustainable lifestyle. And they're sharing information about, about what environmental injustice even is.
Right.
I wanted to use the brand as an entry point for people who probably were not already having conversations about sustainability, but are the ones who are being impacted by it to help us to, be more conscious and aware and figure out what it is that we can do. And part of that for me is conscious consumerism and thinking of like, we're going to consume things, we
Right.
live in, it would be great if we could, make and barter everything, but we live in a consumerist nation. And for me, a solution to some of the issues that we're having is creating alternatives that are not harmful to the environment. That was definitely still is, the big mission of the company. But over time, what I'm realizing now as I work with more retailers and big brands and partnerships is that it's all the IA paper also has a really great opportunity to change standards in stationery. Something that comes up a lot is like, oh, you don't send your cards in plastic slips, or your box sets aren't plastic sets that you can like see through. So as far as like packaging and how do you send things, like all of that, all the standards in the stationery industry are very unsustainable. It's all like plastic is what everybody is using. There's so much waste involved. So something that has definitely started to happen and that I'm really excited about is to continue to get people to think about, is the standard that we've been following, is it sustainable? Is it useful for anyone? Is it something that we need to reevaluate?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy that so far, a lot of our retailers and a lot of the people that we work with they are accommodating for us. We are helping them think of solutions that they maybe didn't even know existed. So that's been something that I didn't intend to do. Like I didn't sign up to be an industry disruptor, but I'm not mad about it.
Okay. I think that's really important as well, because a lot of times there's so many consumers who don't even realize how much plastic is in a lot of things.
Yes.
Forget about
Yes.
the linings and like parts of the supply chain where like plastic is added and it doesn't necessarily look like plastic. So that's really, really important.
And you don't even think about it because, you look online and you order something, you're like, okay, this is going to come to me. And then it comes to you and it might be in a cardboard box, but then there's like plastic bubble all around it. And then like that's also inside another piece of plastic. And then they have 5 different flyers in there promoting something for you, all for one little thing. So it's like the packaging thing is so big for us. And, it's a challenge sometimes, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, how would you say, like, in terms of ethical sourcing, finding the right supplier? I know for me, like, it's been a challenge, and I think for most brands, it's always a challenge, just like you were saying. So, I would love to know if you faced any challenges, like, in terms of when you were going through the process of finding like the right supplier, because I know for a lot of people, it's always a process. It's like very similar to finding a therapist. Just finding a manufacturer, like really tough.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many moving parts. Like I've worked with now 3 different printers.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, that's just like the people who print the card. But then on top of that, it's like, okay, what about the envelopes? And what about the sets that the boxes go in? And what about the labels? And, it's so many different pieces. And for me, the challenge has mostly been the time that it takes to find sustainable alternatives. A lot of things are out there. I will say, like, I think that it's just a matter of being a good researcher, which I've realized over the past couple of years. I have exceptional research skills that I think I took for granted until being in business, where I realized how much of a benefit it is. But you have to do your research, like look up all the different terms, go to the 3rd page on Google, like what you're looking for is out there. And it's also about being creative. Like for something that I did when I was first starting, I was like looking up sustainable printers or eco-friendly printers, which that did lead me to a few different, vendors that I could work with. But what I've been doing now, which is what I had to do was change my perspective on what is considered, a sustainable solution. So although there may be a lot of different people out there who are marketing themselves as sustainable, there are also printers who may not be marketing themselves as that have the same capabilities, Right. And it encouraged me to, maybe I can't find someone who is already doing this, but maybe I can find someone who I think might be able to and will be open to working with me to having a sustainable production flow. So I've been doing a lot more of that creative process, especially as we grow. Some of the companies that we worked with when we were doing, 200 cards at a time, now that we're getting like, I'm printing 11,000 cards this week, actually. So something like that, everybody can't, manage that. So it's a very, something that I have to constantly do is just reevaluate and thinking and being creative and innovative with the solutions that we come up with. So, it's a challenge for sure, but I think that it's worth it. And it's one of those things where the things that I'm finding solutions for now, I know that if someone else came to me, like is asking, oh, how do I find, where do I get recycled cardboard boxes from, for example? Most people don't realize that all of those craft boxes, most of them are recycled. So
Yeah.
even though you're not finding somewhere that says that, like they all are, don't look too hard. The solution is right there. So I am putting in the work and knowing that, I'll be able to help other people not have to do all of that research and struggle to figure out a solution that doesn't kill the planet.
Yeah, and that I can even like speak for myself like about that because a lot of times the sustainability field in general is still this growing sort of thing, right? In terms of
Mhm.
education and a lot of people really understanding the importance of it. So that makes me feel really good that you're open to doing that because a lot of people it's just like kind of like once they find out and once they found their sweet spot, they just want to keep all their secrets and don't want to tell anybody anything. So
Yeah, I think there's definitely a happy medium between like I like when because people reach out to me for questions and advice all the time, and I usually will respond. And the things that I will respond to will usually be people who I can already tell have done some digging on their own. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm looking for this, and I've already looked at A, B, and C, but they're not meeting my needs because of these other reasons. Can
mhm,
you help me out?" And it's like, yeah, sure. Like you've done your due diligence. You're not being lazy or,
right,
not wanting to put in any work because I think, as a Black woman, something I'm constantly trying to check myself on is doing free labor for people.
mhm,
So like it's a difference between asking people to do the work for you and asking for, help and support. So I'm always happy to be a resource for people because it's not easy. And I mean, I didn't get here on my own either.
right.
So
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's really, really great. And I'm just really happy to hear that because yeah, you come across a lot of people who they're just not trying to I wouldn't say trying to help, but basically what
people want to be gatekeepers.
yeah.
People get to a certain level sometimes, and there's a fear about not being the only one.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, you get to a certain point and you want to be the only one, but you're never the only one. There's like, I would never say that I'm the only Black person who makes greeting cards. It's not true. I'm not even probably the only Black person that makes greeting cards with recycled paper. I mean,
Mhm.
there are probably a lot of people out there, but it's just a matter of the visibility and the access, and also realizing that the magic is in you and in your vision and what it is that you want to create. So I can give someone all the tools, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna have the same outcome as me.
Right, right. I agree with 1,000%. So we got to talk about your tote bag. I remember when you
Yes.
launched this. I really, really loved it. And for those of you who do not currently follow Aya Paper Co., she made a tote bag called "Plastic Doesn't Go with My Outfit." So,
Yeah.
SaVonne, please tell me, like, how did you come up with this idea? To the extent you're willing to share with the audience, but like, I would love to know
Yeah.
the inspiration behind this.
Yes. So when I was launching Aya, we launched with 8 different card designs and a tote bag. That was like the full lineup. And what I was doing, I was like, okay, I feel like people love merch. Like I can have the cards, but I wanted to add something else. So, round out what we were doing at launch. And I remember like thinking about, to give some background, like I said, I worked at an art museum, and something that I did there was like I designed some merch there. And with designing merchandise, the thing that I always try to keep in mind is like, what is the message that people want to send out into the world about themselves? Because that's what all tote bags are. Like people, or a t-shirt, people just want you to know who they are as soon as you see them. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I care about. This is who I am. And I think that, people who are sustainable or eco-friendly, like one of the things that you always notice about them is that they don't carry on plastic bags. They'll have all these different tote bags and things like that. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do a tote, and it's all about how you don't want to have plastic. And yeah, I don't remember like the moment that it came to me, but I was like, nope, this is gonna be it. And it sold out so fast. And people, I'm telling you, every week somebody's like, when are they coming back? When are they coming back? I need to do it. I've been putting it off so much, and I know that people are gonna be listening to this and like trying to go to the link. So I'm definitely gonna work on it. I think that it'll be a nice thing to do, ahead of the holidays.
Yeah, yeah, because I was gonna ask you too. She's like, is it coming back?
I know. I had like a few extra ones that like had some damage that I just like keep in the office. And now like whenever people come, they're like, "Can I have this one? I don't care if it's messed up." I'm like, "Okay." So now we're officially like out. Like I don't even have a personal stash at all. So it's time. It's time. I'm definitely gonna try to hook that up for people.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because it's a really great product. So definitely looking forward to when that comes back out. So the next product I want to talk about is your Kinfolk series cards. I did watch some of, I think it's like on Instagram. You were talking about the background behind these cards, specifically the one that represents the memory between you and your mother. I
Mhm.
adored it, not only because of the story, but also its connection to how we really just need to connect to our culture when it comes to sustainability, and how that's
Yeah.
so intimately related to how we live sustainably. So I would love for you to talk about like the inspiration behind that.
Yeah, the Kinfolk series. It was supposed to just be the first card, and then like the way that people responded to it, I was like, okay, this has to continue. But yeah, I started the Kinfolk series, like you said. The first thing was the card I designed of me and my mom, and for people who haven't seen it, it's based on an actual image of my mom doing my hair when I was like 2 years old on the front porch of my house, and like my childhood dog is in the photo, and there's like this big plastic bin full of like barrettes and hair ties. So yeah, I decided to turn that into a card because like you said, I feel like hair and rituals around our hair are so sacred in the Black community, and it's like such a moment of intimacy and like moments for me that I remember the most about my relationship with my mom as a child. So I wanted that was kind of the first one, and then I expanded on the series based on other images for Father's Day with my dad and me and my brother, and it's something that I want to continue because I think that we don't see enough representations of Black family and Black love,
Hmm.
and even though this series started out with images of parent and child, mother and father, I wanted to expand it to even more things because I think that in the Black community, we know that we have very non-traditional ideas of family.
Yeah.
Everybody has a play cousin or your aunt that's not really your aunt, and
Yeah.
you call people, your sis. Like that's just how our love operates. It's free of bounds,
Yeah.
and that's something that I wanted to create this series around. So that's why it's called the Kinfolk series, more so than like a family series, to get at that idea of kin and our different relationships with each other and how we can honor those relationships and celebrate that in a very public way.
Mhm.
Because I think that, we deserve just as much as anybody else to send someone, a Mother's Day card that makes them feel seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So I love it all. So thank you for creating that first of all. It's
Yes,
definitely something that
I'm just glad that it resonates with people so much. That's definitely one of the my favorite things that I've designed. Even though I love typography, like as a designer, that's my favorite. Illustration has never been my strong suit, so I really like have flexed my muscles and like learned a lot more and practice with doing this series. But it's fun.
yeah, definitely resonated with me. I can definitely say that. So what is your vision for the future for the organization? Do you see yourself like expanding into other types of products, or like, just do you see IF Code evolving in any kind of way time soon, or
Yes, I'm um I'm like hesitating to answer this question because there's so many ideas in my brain and I'm trying to figure out which one to say first.
oh, okay, take your time, or no pressure, it's up to you.
Yeah, but that's how I feel about the company. Like, I mean, we're almost a year and a half old, and there's been
Congratulations, by the way.
you. It's been so much growth so fast, like more than I would have ever thought. Like moving into an office space in a year
Mhm.
and being in 40 retailers right now. And like, I can't even talk about it yet, but like, there's two big stores that we're going to be in coming up soon, and like it's mind blowing sometimes to think that it has all happened so soon. So, but it's shocking to me, but I also shouldn't be shocked because that's how I am. I'm a big thinker. I dream big. I only do things that scare me, which um it's good because it creates opportunity for growth, but it also can mean that you grow faster than what you can really keep up with.
Mhm.
So something that I'm trying to do, in the future is to grow, but at a sustainable pace. And, when we talk about sustainability, a lot of times, we're thinking about the environment, but I think that for me, sustainability is also a lifestyle. And I try not to do things that I can't keep up with. Like, if this is the same way that we don't want to deplete the earth of its natural resources, like, I can't deplete myself of all energy. And I can't take every ounce out of the business, like doing things in a way that, I can continue to nurture it and grow it. And like this, because I feel like our audience and our community deserves that. So while I do want to, continue to give more products, it's about pacing it.
Yeah.
And making sure that it's at a pace that we can keep up with and not sacrificing the sustainability as well, because, there's a lot of products that I would love to do, but there's no way to do it without including plastic or without working with a vendor that's international that I don't know what their labor practices are,
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I would like to add that I'm trying to pace myself, but like big vision for the future, I definitely see Aya as a household name. It's going to be, in all the big retailers. I want it to be, the reason that I want Aya to be in more retailers is so that we're more accessible. Right now, like I said, we're in 40 stores, but in the grand scheme of things, we're missing a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I want people everywhere to be able to go into their local store and get a card, so that you don't have to, rely on getting something super generic just from CVS because that's what you have available to you. So all of the things that I want to do with the business in the future are around being more accessible to folks and also about being able to give back more. I really believe that the function of business for me at least is so that I can get more money to use it as a tool to pour back into myself and in my community. Yeah. So the more sales that we make, the more that we can give back. Like in June, I was so excited that we were able to donate a little over $700 to 3 different organizations. Yeah, we had such a great sales month. Like this was before I had office space, like expenses were much lower. I didn't have a full team. And I was just like, I need to give some of this back to somebody. Like this is more than I could have ever, dreamed of. And I wanted to set the tone early for myself, but for others to know that, when you pour into this business, we're going to give it back. It's not a matter of hoarding wealth and, just making money for the sake of holding on to it. So I want to do more community events around sustainability, donating more products. Like I want to do letter writing sessions, like to send notes to people who are incarcerated. There's so many things and ideas that I have brewing. So yeah, Aya is around to stay. We have lots of big ideas that I hope I can share in the next couple of years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So first of all, I'm excited for all of it. So
thank you.
Good vibes and blessings your way. It will all come to pass. That's just me.
Yes.
I really believe in what you're doing, and I am not shocked at all the great things that are about to happen for your company. So just sending like good vibes your way, honest to God, because it's definitely necessary, and it's clearly coming from an authentic place and a great place from within your heart and soul. So I definitely wish you the best with all of that. So definitely looking forward to see what.
Yeah, we gonna manifest it, okay?
Girl, what? Definitely. So you kind of answered this question a little bit, but I asked all of my guests this in terms of just being a person of color within sustainability. We're doing what we do as entrepreneurs or whatever, but then we're also very much aware of a lot of the problems within the sustainability space. So I'd love to know how you balance, how do you cope, and like how do you just generally balance and make sure you take care of your mental health with all this and having all of this knowledge of all these problems on top of being a person of color and the issues that come with that. How do you manage it all? If there's any advice you could give to the audience, and even me, because I'm always taking advice from people. But yeah, I'd love to know if you are willing to share.
Honestly, how do I cope? A few things. One is not being afraid to check out when you need to. I don't believe that you need to constantly read about the impending doom and the violence against our planet, against our bodies, against our communities. I don't think that if you're living it, you don't need to expose yourself to constant reminders of it. It's traumatic.
Yeah.
So I don't follow the news very closely. I get alerts, here and there. I count on my community to, keep me in tune. I don't spend a lot of time scrolling on social media. If I do, I try to keep it light. And I follow a lot of humor and meme pages. I think humor is medicine. Find time to laugh. Indulge in things that make you happy. Those are like my key things that I actually do consistently because they feel a little bit, easier to manage. The other things that I try to do, but it's much harder with now running the business, is meditation, which I do now, but it's reactionary. Like whenever I find myself getting overwhelmed and stressed, I'm like, okay, take a moment, breathe, and recenter. But ideally, I would do that every morning. It comes and goes, honestly. I would love to do it every day. There are weeks when I get through it, but there are other weeks where, I get up and I go. So finding whatever it is that, even if it only is reactionary, figure out when you get to that point where you feel overwhelmed or you're feeling really anxious about what's going on, what is it that you can do to recenter yourself and to ground yourself? For me, it's breathing, closing my eyes. If you're an essential oil person, keep some lavender tucked on you. Even just taking a glass of water, getting a glass of water, taking a walk, like grounding yourself. When the weather is great, my favorite thing to do is a bike ride. It's getting harder now with the cold of fall. But yeah, the bike has been my solace, like in the past few months, honestly. Since moving into, the office space, like business has just ramped up so much. And it's been my time because you can't really be on the phone while you're riding the bike. Can't really talk to other people. It's really like forced me time.
Yeah.
So, find the things that bring you joy and that bring you peace. And it's different for everyone, but those are the things that work for me.
Amazing. Yeah, I have to agree. Like, I definitely make sure I'm the type of person like where I try to do it in the morning as well, like in terms of meditation. But I do suffer from anxiety, so I am that person that will sit, at my desk and just meditate for 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I get overwhelmed every day, and I'm transparent about it because it's like I think people will tell you like, "Oh, entrepreneurship isn't easy," but like, let's talk about how really not easy it is.
It's very hard. Yeah. Talk about it.
There are days when I'm here by myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much. What am I going to do? There's like 10 problems and I maybe have solutions to 2 of them. The other 8, I don't even know where to start. And it's like, okay, instead of panicking right now, let's just take a moment and breathe. And maybe you need to take a walk out of the room, or maybe you need to just, you've been here for 12 hours. Maybe your brain is just tired. Maybe you got to go home for the night.
Yeah.
Don't be, like I said, just sometimes you just got to put it down and just take a step away. So yeah, I definitely understand that. It's definitely, something that I still struggle with. There are some days where I am enveloped in the news and can't get out of it, and I'm panicking about what's going to happen with this planet. Is it even a point in continuing to build this brand? Is the work I'm doing in vain? Like, the spiral of anxious questions.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, it's really, I just give myself grace. I had a really bad day yesterday, but today I was like, I'm going to get up and go back at it. And I have a podcast interview and I'm going to put a smile on my face and I'm going to talk about all this stuff. And, the day is better because I just told myself that it would be. So sometimes you just have to, give yourself that grace to, you can have bad days, but I have a friend, he always tells me bad days don't come in twos. So I try to live by that now. It's a very helpful mantra.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that again, because I can completely relate to that. So I would love to know, for other entrepreneurs, are there any resources that you're willing to share for people who are looking to build a similar product? Because the sustainability thing is very new to a lot of people, but they understand the problem, they understand it needs to be addressed, but they don't really know where to start. Outside of doing research like you were talking about earlier, but Are there any resources that you would recommend to people who are building a similar brand?
Hmm. Um, yes, I'm trying to think of which ones would be like the most useful in a general sense. But I mean, this isn't even just for sustainable brands,
Okay.
but something that I always tell people to get. If you're starting an e-commerce business, you should put it on Shopify. You just should.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that that's how I started my business because I can't imagine being able to scale or if I like got to a point where it was like, oh, this doesn't work anymore. Now I have to change it. I really love Shopify because, it grows with you. It helps you to, fulfill orders, have a good website, figure out marketing strategies. So yeah, I think that everyone should look into having Shopify for your e-commerce business.
Mm-hmm.
As far as packaging,
Mm-hmm.
um, something that I just did recently, I got tissue paper and tape like with our logo on it for packaging orders.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that from this company called No Issue. They
Okay.
are a sustainable packaging company. So I really like that. It's all recycled.
Okay.
Um, what else? I'm just looking around my office trying to see. Oh, if you have a physical office space or you need like storage things,
Mhm.
something I always tell people, whether you have a sustainable business or not, Facebook Marketplace is so great, or just like any online marketplace. Most of the furniture in my office is secondhand from there.
Okay.
So I really always tell people if you need like, a rack or a desk, like a table,
Mhm.
all of that stuff you can get pretty cheaply for people who are just trying to get rid of it. And, you don't have to, you save money, you keep something from ending up in a junkyard probably. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely look into that. As far as other specific business tools, I anything specifically, there's not a lot of things that I can think of specifically for sustainable business because I think that
Mhm.
most people who are sustainable business owners are just being really scrappy and figuring it out, being innovative, kind of in a bubble.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I wish I had more things. Oh, also for packaging, there's a website called Eco Enclose. That's where I was getting my boxes and things like that at for a while. They
Okay.
have lots of different options for sustainable materials to ship things in. There's another one called Better Packaging.
Okay.
Better Packaging. I think they're based in Australia, but they have really cool mailers and things that are sustainable.
Okay.
Um, hmm. Yeah, if I think of anything else, I will definitely say, but yeah, for the most part, I hate to keep saying it, but it's the research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't, once you figure out exactly what it is you need, get clear about, what the specs are, because that's what it was for me. Like to say I want to make sustainable cards, like, okay, what makes it sustainable?
Mhm.
And for me, that was like, okay, one, the printing process. When you're doing small runs of things, which I was doing in the beginning, the digital print process what made the most sense. But now that I'm growing and doing way more at once, it's like, oh, actually, now an offset print process is what's going to be most sustainable. Um, waste of paper. Like most greeting card sizes are 5x7, but our cards are closer to a 4x6 because that makes the better use of paper without like getting rid of too much during trimming.
Mm.
So get as much into like detail into the process and figure out, what are the things that you need to do to make it sustainable,
Mhm.
and have your checklist out. So whenever you're talking to a vendor or looking for something online, like you can know all the specs that you're looking for exactly to
Mhm.
understand what is that you're looking for. And also, so say you do all of that and you still can't find anything, when you want to reach out to me or someone else, you can like be really specific, like, okay, I'm looking for this, and this. I wasn't able to find it. Do you know any other options for this like very specific thing? Because that's what I think a lot of people, when you're doing a sustainable business, aren't getting specific enough about. Like
Mhm.
it's a lot of detail involved. So the more detailed you can get about what the product is that you're trying to create, the better.
That was a lot of resources, actually. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure the audience will definitely appreciate that. Because yeah, you just have so many there's so many things out there, and like you were saying, the research is
Yeah.
key. But thank you so much. I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed in terms of the information because I'm just like, wow, who knew, you know?
Yeah. Well, listen back later.
Right. So the next question is actually a new segment that I have now, which I call Susty Confessions, because there's no such thing as being true or 100% sustainable, right?
Right.
So when I ask, I'm sure we can both attest to this in terms of like, especially with social media, it's like, oh, sustainable living, I do this and I do this and I do that, but it's just like nobody always.
Everyone is zero waste on Instagram.
Right. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I would love to know if you could share a sustainability confession in terms of like, something that you might have regretted or, things that it could be in the past or it could be now or whatever.
Oh, it's right now. And I know exactly what it is. And it's new. Like, so when I lived, not even when I lived in New York, but yeah, when I started my sustainability journey, I was spending a lot of time like at home cooking, bringing lunch to work. So like I didn't create a lot of food packaging waste because I was cooking and had like my own glass containers and all of that. But now that I'm working like 10-hour days and I'm eating way more takeout, my food packaging waste I'm so disappointed in myself, but it's just making me realize how wasteful the food industry is. Like there are some people that, they'll have, here's the perfect example. You'll see it like a lot of companies, they have like that craft paper kind of box that they'll put food in. And it's like, I know that this looks more sustainable, but it has plastic lining in it and you still recycle it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, everybody use aluminum ones instead. Aluminum pans, because you can easily rinse it out. You can easily recycle it. Aluminum is infinitely recyclable. So, but yeah, I can't control how people are packaging their things. So that's my susty confession. Packaging waste. All of the, I just posted today on Instagram. I got this smoothie bowl and a juice, and they're both in plastic packaging. I'm like, somebody's gonna look at this and be like, isn't this the girl that doesn't use plastic in her company?
Right.
And I confess, yes, it's me.
No, I'm actually glad because mine's is kind of like similar. For me, it's so in my building, like we have, the recycling bins, but just over the past throughout the pandemic, pretty much, like I just haven't had like the energy to like separate my garbage. So I just feel like that's just one of the most basic kind of like
the recycling. I love to tell people about that actually. Whenever I'm at someone's house or something and they take like like say it's a juice bottle, a plastic juice bottle, and they just put it in, I'm like, you have to rinse that, right? They're like, what? It's going in there, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's going to contaminate the whole batch. You know that, right? I'm confessing to my own sin, but then I'm telling other people about that. So you gotta hold each other accountable.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like it's important for people to talk about these sorts of things too, because it is what it is. I just feel like in the society we live in, it's very, very difficult to live sustainably in general. So just being more realistic about the day-to-day things that, I feel like we all commit like a quote, air quote, sin in terms of like saying one thing and doing another. And not that it's a bad thing. I think it's just that we're so far gone in our society.
It just is. It's what. And you can try. We try our best, and for me, the effort I think is noteworthy because there are so many people who don't even try. So the fact that we're even trying and putting in the effort, and even feeling bad and calling it a sin, because there are some people who are like, "What does it make a difference?" So more grace for everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. So, well, thank you so much, SaVonne. I love this conversation today. This was great. I'm actually really excited again, like I said before, everything that you have going on and everything that Aya has to offer in the future. So I'm definitely looking forward to that and sending good vibes your way. So if you could just tell the audience like where they could reach you, whether it's a website, email, and where they can shop from Aya Paper Co.
So you can find me on Instagram at simply SaVonne, simply.SaVonne. And you can find Aya Paper Co. at Aya, A-Y-A, paper.co on Instagram. And the website is also the same, ayapaper.co. So yeah, shop with us, come follow me, see me on my bike and committing my susty sins, all of that stuff.
Yay! All right, guys. So you heard it from SaVonne Anderson. My dear, thank you again so much for being on the show. And yeah, so the audience, make sure you guys check her out. Her cards are really beautiful and you won't be disappointed. And make sure, definitely check in for the holiday season. The holiday season is coming up. So make sure she's part of your holiday shopping.
Yes. We're launching some holiday stuff in the next couple of weeks too. We're getting an early start. So yes, please do visit the website, follow, subscribe, all of that. We do 15% off first purchase with the code WELCOME15. So if it's your first time, please come through.
Yay! All right, SaVonne. Thank you so much, dear.
All right.
Bye.